What if Texas Tech really starts 6-0? Could the Red Raiders crash the AP top 12, perhaps the top 10, and put themselves squarely in playoff contention? I'm joined by Payton from Rankings right now to map out the Red Raiders' undefeated path. I'm your professor, the WildUte, and I have with me today adjunct Professor Payton from Rankings right now, and we've got a treat for y'all. You Texas Tech fans, what if it happens this year? What if you go 6-0? What would your ranking look like? We've got the guru, the master. Payton, why don't you get into this a little bit?
So we at Rankings right now completely focus on rankings. We don't care about anything else. We're not trying to predict who's going to win. We're not trying to predict how much people are going to win by. We just care about if the whole ecosystem of college football, you have wins and losses all over the place. Once the dust has settled, who is going to be ranked where? So we have algorithms for the AP Top 25 and the College Football Selection Committee. Right now, we're looking at a hot start. And so we only really care about the AP Top 25, but we are trying to create the greatest algorithm that there's ever been when it comes to college football rankings. And as far as I know, there's no other algorithm out there. So we are the best and the worst at the same time. But
let's go.
Yeah, we ran 1,000 simulations of this season through week 6 to look at what the rankings would be at that point in time. So we have all of the information and all the percentages to go along with it.
Awesome. We're going to go game by game and have a discussion about Texas Tech's schedule. We're going to talk about what the analytics say. Is Texas Tech, are they favored or not in the games? And then at the end of this, we're going to say, hey, if they reach 6-0 status, what will the AP ranking be? So game 1 starting out, Texas Tech at Jones AT&T Stadium in Lubbock is playing UAPB, the Golden Lions. Payton, do you think that Texas Tech is going to get this win to start?
I think they're going to squeak this one out. Really? No, it should be an obvious blowout. There's no reason for this game to probably even be happening, but someone's got to play somebody. So here we are. ESPN's giving them a 99% chance to win. I would also probably give them a little bit more of an edge if I were them. But in this situation, it should be an easy walk in the park.
Agreed. 1-0 Texas Tech, and moving on to game 2. Interesting side note here, TNT game. TNT now is a Big 12 broadcast partner. They're sub-licensing games. 12 p.m. Eastern time kick. So this game is on TNT. It's versus the Kent State Golden Flashes. It's at AT&T Stadium as well. Jones AT&T Stadium, Lubbock, home game for Texas Tech. I think this is another easy win for Texas Tech. What do you think, Payton?
We're giving it the same exact situation almost as the first game. According to ESPN, there's a 98% chance that they win this game. This should not be another shocker. Hopefully TNT football does not give any weird voodoo vibes, but it should be a pretty simple, straightforward win on this one.
I sure hope so, definitely. And then the next week, there is a Pac-12 opponent coming in, a Fox game. So it's a primetime game for Texas Tech to get a little feature action. Oregon State Beavers at home, 3 straight freaking home games for Texas Tech. This is shaping out really nice so far. I like Tech's chances based on the analytics. What do you say, Payton?
3 straight home games, 3 heavy favorites. Yeah. Oregon State is still in a rebuilding phase. They lost their head coach to Michigan State. There's all these different types of things that are still going on at that school. They actually had a couple of impressive wins last year, but for the most part, this should still be another easy one. It's going to be, that's a different level of heat, obviously, than Oregon's probably used to at that point in time of the year as well. That should be an easy win for Texas Tech.
Texas Tech is 3-0 and going into a massive Big 12 game versus the Utah Utes. My Utah Utes will be at that game. Can't wait for it. Outside chance that College Game Day comes to this game. It's one of the biggest games in the conference this year. Utah Utes, Texas Tech. I have to think that the analytics think this one's pretty even.
It's a 50-50. You had it dead on, right? So it could go either way. Obviously, this is obviously the toughest test. They probably are not playing very difficult football up until this point. Barring any injuries, this is probably the game that they're all warming up for. I could see this one coming down to the wire, a classic Big 12. What the hell is happening at the very end of the game? But, this could easily be one of those great scenarios where if Texas Tech can roll through this one, they're going 4-0 into a bye week, and that would be enormous momentum.
So Texas Tech in this hypothetical rips the heart out, beats the Utah Utes at Utah, goes 4-0. Things are looking good. They started the season ranked, and that ranking is just climbing. We're going to find out when we go through all these games what the ranking will likely be. But they're going into the bye week, like Payton says, feeling dang good, 4-0. And then all of a sudden they find themselves after a bye week at Houston Cougars. I think this is another really good spot for Texas Tech off the bye week. I think they get this win.
ESPN is giving them a 70% chance of beating Houston. I also agree with that. Not something that they could sleep on for sure. This would be debilitating if they lost this one for sure. It's a tough one on the road still, right? But I think that they have enough momentum going into this game, especially off a bye week, that they could really do their due diligence on looking at how Houston's doing, what their game plan is, all those different types of things. They're in a really great position to be on the road in this situation, all rested. So I could see this one being a good win for them.
100% right off a bye week. What a favorable schedule in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And then you've got KU, Kansas, just looking good at the season so far. This is a home game for Texas Tech. Look, KU's looking good, but I think Texas Tech's going to be favored in this one too. It's a home game. So I just have to imagine the analytics love Texas Tech again.
What's interesting about this one is it's actually close. They're giving KU the edge on this one. KU all of a sudden is this football powerhouse, as we've seen in the last couple of years. They've really turned the program around to being one of the biggest laughingstocks that we've ever seen, probably 10 years ago, to now being a really competitive football team. Do I think that they have the numbers right on this one? I could make a good argument. I think a lot of Texas Tech fans would also be screaming at their computer screens looking at that as well. But as of right now, this is kind of a 50-50 shot right now. I think that these numbers would definitely adjust. But once again, we really didn't learn anything through the first 5 weeks of the schedule. This would be, except for Utah, this would really be kind of one of those next level games where you would learn something about Texas Tech. So this could be one of those situations where it really does come down to the wire, just because they're not very battle tested as some of the other teams might be.
That's shocking that this game is so close based on the analytics. In this hypothetical, Texas Tech wins. The season is happening. Joey McGuire is getting lifted up. Everything's blowing up down in Lubbock. It is heyday party central. And Payton, what does the ranking look like after this hypothetical 6-0 start?
So after running 1,000 simulations through the first 6 games of Texas Tech's schedule, they're not actually going to move that high up in the rankings as opposed to some of the other teams that we see. Why? Because it's of their strength of schedule. They're not really having any great moments. Just like how a Heisman Trophy candidate really needs that Heisman moment. So when it comes to rankings, you need that game to prove that you are a top 10 contender. Of all the 1,000 simulations that we ran, only a 1% chance of Texas Tech being in the top 10. So that's not only just because of you have a really easy schedule, but a lot of the teams that are up top, Texas and Ohio State, are playing each other at the top of the season. You have some really big teams with really big credentials up top, really not giving any room. If we look at a lot of the simulations when Texas Tech was still going 6-0, and we look at who is hogging that real estate up top, you're looking at Texas, Ohio State, Penn State, Oregon, Florida, Georgia, Alabama, LSU. I practically just named the entire SEC there. Notre Dame, Clemson, Miami, Texas A&M, and even Minnesota is sneaking up there a little bit. So there's just not that much real estate to really give up. there's going to need to be some really big upsets for them to make those that big of a jump. So kind of where they're ranked right now in that 18, 19, 20 range. Once again, their sweet spot for where Texas Tech is going to be moving up to is really in that 15 range. Now,
what
do we think that
only 3 spots, Payton?
Only 3 spots right now. So if we look at 15, there's a 20% chance that they're at 15, 17% chance that they're at 14, 10% at 13, 5% at 12. So even if we look at 11 to 15, really, there's a 54% chance, which I think a lot of Texas Tech fans would probably be happy with. If you can get through that first part of the year, you're now at a 54% chance of being in the 11 to 15. You're still looking right. You're right on the edge, looking right into that college football playoff selection committee area, right? I think a lot of fans would be really happy with that, but there should be no expectation that they're going to be a top 4 team, top 5 team, especially with this schedule. We're not learning anything from Texas Tech. So second half of the year, those bigger games are going to be coming up. It's going to be a lot more fun. But as of right now, 11 to 15 is where we should be expecting them to be.
That's a bit shocking, 11 to 15 range when you're starting out fairly high in the AP ranking at all. But hey, like, there's not any ranked opponents at the moment.
Correct.
Utah might get there. KU might get there. But, like, hey, you're not playing any top 5 opponents to get that big jump, like Payton's saying. Wild stuff. I think Texas Tech fans would be happy if they were near that top 10, 11, 12 place and everything. That sets them up really well. It's been a fun one.
They need Houston and Kansas to also get off to great starts. That's the way that they will be able to make their money and make those big jumps. But as of right now, no one has expectations for them either.
100%. So any final thoughts, Payton?
No, I think that this is one of the more favorable schedules in the entire Big 12. They're going to have to play somebody at some point, but in terms of through these first 6 games, it does not seem like there's a very low probability of them really struggling. Obviously, Utah is their biggest opponent, but if they can make it past Utah with a bye week, they are really heading in with some great momentum and getting into that, starting to knock on the door of a top 10 ranking going after week 6.
Great stuff. Thanks for coming on, Payton. That's the Undefeated climb and the projected AP Top 25 ranking. Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't flunk the what if dream. Class is dismissed.